Hello, my name is Ampersand, and welcome to Ampersand's Ecologies. For those who are curious, I'm building a setting that includes every single rule from Dungeons & Dragons, from the very first publication in 1974, all the way up to the latest book. Right now, at time of recording, 51 years of content. My challenge is to see just how far I can push the rules as written. To make that possible, I'm going to need a little homebrew. So forgive me, rules lawyers, this is a necessary element for it all to work. Here's how I am handling the tingle of additions and rules contradictions. 1. If there's a single rule for something across all editions, that rule takes precedence. 2. If there's no rule at all for something, then I will use real life as a baseline. 3. Contradictory rules. If rules contradict each other in the same edition, each one will be applied evenly. You could flip a coin and either one could happen. Multiple edition contradictions. If rules change from edition to edition, the latest version takes precedence until a new one appears. Optional rules. If they contradict a core rule, they will apply half the time. If not, they count as one. Variant rules. They only work half the time. If there are multiple variants, they'll apply randomly. And in tradition order, my timeline starts at the original edition. Early rules can borrow from later editions to fill gaps, and later editions can fall back on older rules when needed. So, what does this mean? A few things immediately stand out. Humans, for example, start off with most editions with no special abilities or features at character creation, but from 3rd edition onwards, they begin with feats. Under my rules, a human society would look very different depending on which edition a child is born into. And monsters, for instance, when they reproduce, will give birth to offspring from different editions of their stat block. Likewise, a playable species should give birth to offspring of any edition. A 5th edition human could have 2nd edition offspring, and so on and so forth. This should make my setting wildly diverse and, to be honest, really chaotic. I am planning on making this a weekly series, and for this, it's going to take a minimum of 2 years just to cover all the playable species. My qualifications: I've been a DM for 5th edition, a player in multiple editions, including 1st and 5th, and most importantly, I've read more D&D books than anyone I personally know. Oh, whoops. The ultimate goal is to create a campaign setting that you could play any edition in, and maybe all editions at the same time. I'm not entirely sure how that would work. I'm thinking on it. And maybe afterwards I might move on to Pathfinder. Who knows? As for the setting itself, I'm not inventing a new world. I am using Earth as a baseline. I'm going to find out whether or not magic will significantly influence how the world works, along with the monsters and the magical effects that seem to permeate everything. Next. Okay. To keep things clear, what I'm counting for sources and what I'm considering as canon is any rulebook that you could have bought from TSR and Wizards of the Coast, something you could have bought physically, and has mechanical rules embedded into it. So I'm not going to be using any of the novels unless there's some obscure rule I don't know about. And I'm not going. And for any electronic, I'm going to limit that to needed. So anything that is considered unnecessary, I'm not going to use. I am going to be citing my book sources. I'm going to have the cover, the name, the page number, and the date, so that you could quote me on that. And I'm a wizard. I'm eventually going to get something wrong. So I'm planning on opening a Discord, Patreon, and YouTube memberships once they're available to me, so that you guys can see some videos a week early, to be able to see my bloopers. Trust me, you don't know how many it takes to actually get this done, and I think they're pretty funny. And to celebrate subscriber milestones at 5,000 subs, I'm going to explain what changes I'm going to need to make to Earth to include all the rules to it. And I'm going to be including the prime material plane, so that includes the solar system and the inner and outer planes, and a class evolution tree. So you can see how a first edition fighter evolves into a second edition fighter, and that will include every single class I am able to scour up, from the depths of second edition all the way to the mass proliferation of third edition. And I do have other things written down here, but we will save that for later. So, this is a passion project of mine, and I'd love to see others make similar videos and what creative ideas you would share. My editor, Ryoko, is going to be ensure that every entry is clear, sourced, and accurate. Now, I'm always going to pay attention on the latest video for a week after posting, so you can reach me in the comments there. But other than that, the best way to reach me is on this video in the comments below. Now, please forgive the roughness of my technique. My resources are kind of limited, but my dedication is apparent. Welcome again to Ampersand's Ecologies. Can't wait to see you there. Yeah, I'm just standing here. Great. You know, I'd put credits here, but see you next video.